With the recent announcement that Christopher Eccleston is returning to Doctor Who after 15 years for 12 brand new full-cast audio adventures with Big Finish Productions, Paul from Shebogan Who reached out to various members of the WhoTube community, inviting us to take part in a celebration of the Ninth Doctor. Each of us have chosen to talk about one fantastic scene from either the series itself, the novels, audiobooks, or comics featuring the Ninth Doctor. When Paul asked me if I was interested in being involved, I was slightly overwhelmed by the sheer number of choices. Despite the fact Eccleston only stayed for one series, there are countless memorable scenes from his era. However, after thinking about it, I realised there is one scene I find myself returning to again and again. That being the Doctor's initial encounter with the so-called Metaltron from Robert Shearman's Dalek. This scene served as the perfect reintroduction to the series' most iconic monster, while also revealing far more about Eccleston's Doctor. Before we continue, be warned this video will include spoilers. When Doctor Who returned in 2005, it had a lot to prove. While devoted fans had waited faithfully through the wilderness years, the general perception was that the series was a bit naff. The Daleks in particular had become little more than one-dimensional caricatures of Terry Nation's original creations.
I'm sorry, I'm late! The tubes were full of computers!
How did you get on then?
I exterminated!
Shearman had one clear goal with this episode: make the Daleks a credible threat again. The Doctor's response was instrumental in achieving that goal. The Ninth Doctor could be quite dismissive of his adversaries.
If I might observe, you infiltrated this civilization by means of warp shunt technology. So, may I suggest with the greatest respect that you shunt off?
In fact, at times, he could be positively flippant.
Excuse me, do you mind not farting while I'm saving the world?
However, in this scene, all that bravado is gone. Instead, the Doctor responds with genuine terror. This reaction from the series' hero immediately let viewers know that this metallic pepper pot was something to be feared. Of course, Nicholas Briggs shouldn't be overlooked. By 2005, Briggs had provided Dalek voices for multiple Big Finish audio dramas, including Shearman's own Jubilee, from which Dalek was loosely adapted.
Doctor!
Oh no!
Doctor! You are an enemy of the Daleks! You are to be exterminated!
No! Wait!
Exterminate! Exterminate!
One reason 80s Doctor Who kept bringing back the character of Davros was that he was a much more interesting conversationalist than his creations. Briggs' performance, coupled with Shearman's dialogue, breathed life into this lone Dalek. The scene not only restored the Dalek's credibility, it managed to make a Dalek a compelling character. It also examined the Ninth Doctor through the lens of his relationship with the Daleks. As the Seventh Doctor once said,
"You can always judge a man by the quality of his enemies."
For the record, I know that was originally an Oscar Wilde quote. Eccleston gave one of his best performances as the Doctor in this scene. In the space of 4 minutes, he shows terror, relief, superiority, sorrow, anger, disgust, and perhaps most notably, cruelty. The Doctor first enters the cage with compassion for the creature Van Statten has imprisoned within. However, upon learning that that creature is in fact a Dalek, his attitude changes completely. This scene revealed a side of the character that viewers both old and new hadn't seen before. Once it becomes clear that the Dalek is unable to make good on its threats, the Doctor's fear almost immediately transforms into anger. He begins to mock his captive foe in an almost childish manner.
If you can't kill, then what are you good for, Dalek? What's the point of you? You're nothing!
This interaction highlights the lasting effect the Time War has had on the Doctor. At this point in the series, very little was known about the war. In fact, prior to this episode, viewers weren't even aware who the Time Lords had fought against. For some reason, I interpreted Jabe's condolences in The End of the World to mean it had been the Trees of Cheam. I was a weird kid. The war amplified the Doctor's negative feelings towards his oldest and deadliest enemy. This Dalek wasn't simply another antagonist. It was a reminder to the Doctor of everything he had lost. A representation of the darkest chapter of his lives.
The Daleks destroyed my home, my people. I've got nothing left.
Despite the pain of his own loss, or perhaps because of it, the Doctor taunts the Dalek about the destruction of its race, proudly claiming credit for the genocide.
Your race is dead. You all burn, all of you. 10 million ships on fire. The entire Dalek race wiped out in 1 second.
You lie!
I watched it happen.
I made it happen.
I do love the way he catches himself here, as, just for a moment, the Doctor we all know resurfaces. However, the Dalek's response quickly reignites the Doctor's passion.
I am alone in the universe.
Yep.
So are you. We are the same.
This gesture of solidarity, genuine or not, is enough to push the Doctor over the edge. Personally, I believe the Dalek was taunting the Doctor by emulating an emotional response, the same way it does later in the episode when it manipulates Rose into setting it free. The Doctor responds by torturing his defenseless adversary, mockingly uttering the Dalek battle cry,
Exterminate.
Why should I? You never did.
The Dalek's plea for pity had to have been a deliberate callback to this iconic scene from Genesis of the Daleks.
Have pity! Pity! I have no understanding of the word. It is not registered in my vocabulary bank.
This short scene manages to convey a wealth of information about the Daleks, the Time War, and the Ninth Doctor himself. Previous writers had attempted to make the Daleks a more compelling threat by boosting their numbers. In fact, this very series took that approach in the two-part finale. With Dalek, Shearman opted for a more intimate examination of the Daleks, and their greatest enemy, the Doctor. He used the episode to highlight the parallels, and more importantly, the distinctions between the two. But it all started with this one fantastic scene. Thanks to Paul from Shebogan Who for organising this collaboration, and for inviting me to be a part of it. Make sure you check out the other videos in the playlist. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know which Ninth Doctor scene is your favourite and why. Or better yet, make your own video and share it using the hashtag #OneFantasticScene. If you enjoyed this video, why not give it a like? Maybe share it with a friend. Or a Dalek. Either way, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to see more content here on Channel 73.